What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm JLAG and I'm here with
NBEA.
And we are recapping and reviewing Westworld Season 2, Episode 1. And it is called Journey into the Night.
What a good opening, episode. I
love the show.
So impressed by the show.
I love the show
and
so much.
What's to come, how we ended off. And just quickly, guys, we're going to do this a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So still stick around for the ending because we are going to cover up our recap roundups or our MVPs or LVPs. Mm-hmm. But majority of this podcast is going to be covering off the big character moments.
Yes.
Not so much like scene dissection. We still want to analyze and we still want to ask each other questions along the way. But so that we have like a really good kind of concise podcast for you guys.
And as usual, thanks for joining us. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to stay engaged because we really want to hear everything about what you guys have to say about Westworld because this is a crazy ass show.
And I think one of the best things about the show is that it does open up that conversation and you want to I do want to ask you and be like, what did you think?
Yeah,
what's
totally,
gonna happen?
Totally.
What was your interpretation of the scene? That's the fun part of all of this because it's such a smart show.
Yeah.
And there's so many hidden things in it that you gotta
you have to do it that way. You gotta talk it out.
So before we get into it though,
yeah,
I do want to give a shout out to HBO because they just released a statement that said that all the females, Thandi Newton and Rachel, they're getting equal pay for season 3.
Yes, queens.
And I was so shocked that they didn't get equal pay before this.
That's fucked.
So are you telling me even in season 2 they didn't get equal pay? Already starting off the second season, they're killing it. First of all, the two of them. I can't even imagine that they weren't getting equal pay before.
Yeah. We'll talk about them as characters.
We're going to talk about them, but I just want to say big job on HBO. And they were both talking about how HBO is really pushing for that.
Yeah.
And that
that's
even,
good.
Rachel was I was so shocked that they just did that.
Right.
Because they just told her, by the way, you're getting equal pay. She's like,
nice.
What? Sick.
Noise. Okay, so let's start off with Bernard because it kind of starts. Everything starts off this episode with Bernard, and kind of the whole season starts off with him waking up on a beach, right? And actually, before that, there's a really quick scene between Dolores talking to.
So it's funny because when I said it starts off with Bernard, JLAG was actually that's not Bernard, it's Arnold. Yeah. So do you always know when it's Arnold and when it's Bernard?
I don't always know, but it's based on the dialogue that they were having. My assumption is that they were talking.
What about that dialogue made it seem like it was Arnold?
I think that he says he's scared of her. He's scared of Dolores. He's scared of what she's becoming and who.
So it's more like a father figure, kind of
right.
talking
So it's more that he's
a creator.
He's concerned as a creator what can happen, and less of Bernard being what is this? I don't understand.
True. No, that's good because I wanted to know because one of the recaps that I was reading too was he's more scruffy. Arnold's more scruffy looking than Bernard, and I was oh, I didn't even notice that. So now moving forward, I can kind of gauge because I get confused. I'm I don't know when they're cutting back.
Bernard's thing is more perfect. I don't know, and
so
I
that's
think
a good thing to keep in mind too.
On top of that, Dolores, she's happier. She's smiling the entire time.
Oh, I didn't really notice. See, it's so hard because I feel they.
But what do you mean about your dream?
Yeah,
she's
I don't know.
Just so
it's so hard to
so.
And also, I feel Bernard had 3 different timelines this episode, so it was so confusing. It's jumping back and forth.
Confusing.
So yeah, so right after that scene in the bunker, it cuts to Bernard on the beach.
Right. And he's kind of just waking up, and so this is actually Bernard. It's not Arnold,
right?
And he has the army people around him.
Yeah, so he wakes up. He's dazed, confused. So are we, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. We're not really sure where things are at.
Did he get drunk? Because there's a champagne bottle.
Do they know that Bernard is a robot? These things were kind of popping into my head.
So we see the guy from last season,
right? Chris Hemsworth,
the brother, and then a bunch of other people, a bunch of other special ops.
We have a new bald guy who's
Carl something.
I don't know his name.
So they're next level. They're what the F's going on? Shit just popped off.
Right.
What are you doing? You have to explain this things to us. What's going on? Whatever.
Exactly.
What I noticed though was did you notice that woman she had a bunch of cards with her?
Yes. So they all had high risk or whatever I think on them.
Yeah, with their pictures.
He was one of them.
What did you think of that?
I didn't get a chance to glance at all of them, but I would assume that they were looking for certain high level people hosts.
Do you think they know he's a host?
Yeah.
You think they know?
I think so. Mm-hmm. I think that they know because he's like he's been lying on the beach for 2 weeks, like glitched out. Do you know what I mean? Like they found him 2 weeks later. So the assumption is that like he doesn't need water, need food or anything. He's just like robot. So
they don't give any vibes like that though. They just kind of carry on with the conversation as if like he's like just like a normal person. They find him.
Yeah.
And I think like they know that he's a host.
They don't like wrap him up or anything. They don't like put him in handcuffs or anything. True. So that's the one thing that I was like, okay, but like, do they know, or they just want him to cooperate?
Yeah, I think they're trying to keep on the DL so that, like he tells them like he kind of, they want to see what he's gonna do along the way, and then they can sort of like get information through that.
Like the thing that I don't really understand is why don't they just run diagnostics right away? You know what I mean? Like,
but maybe they can't. Maybe they don't have the tools to do that high level like diagnostic. I don't know.
That's true, but then they also like scalp that other guy and try to figure out his diagnostics.
But what I'm saying, I think he might be more useful if he's alive.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because he is pretty high level.
That makes sense.
So another thing that we discovered too in his kind of story is that like there's like this crazy like not a microchip, it's like a freaking
like a light bulb. It looks like a light bulb.
It looks like a Keurig, like like a thing, like a coffee, like a pod or something, pod. And they kind of just take it out of the brain, and that's like their
whole memory,
their whole thing, right?
Yeah. So while they're walking through, he sees all these different hosts getting shot, and he's like, "Yeah, you guys are just killing people," and he's like, "Yeah, we need to like protect our
the data or the property."
Yeah. So he's seeing all these like little robots getting killed. He sees one that like was like, I guess, an Indian, or like they were the cowboys and Indians were fighting each other, and then they all died at the same time. And then you see him say like, we need to extract this guy's brain. And then you're right. And then we see that Keurig kind of coffee pod, and then they plug it into like a computer, and then they show Dolores.
Yeah. So his that host's last recorded like memory, I guess, was from 11 days ago, and that's how we know the timeline that this was the whole uprising happened 11 days prior.
Right.
And like we see Dolores like basically like freaking turning up and like telling this guy, the host, that like not everyone is going to be part of like this uprising, and like he's got to go. And so she shoots him. And then they were like, "Who's this bee though? Like, who is she?"
Right.
And then Bernard's like, "It's just like the rancher's daughter. Like, she's just like a like thing."
Yeah. And then everybody's like, "What the f happened?" In this? Like, so they're still in the huge, like, they're completely in the dark as to what happened that night. Like, there's no security footage. Like, they don't know what happened that night. Like, no one's reported out to them. So that's really interesting, because then that means that whatever happens to Charlotte in this episode doesn't get out to the rest of the team.
What do you mean?
Because she tries to call out for help, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get to that. But like that means that like no one heard what happened exactly
for 11 days.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I don't know. Like so. Anyway, we find
out. It's so confusing.
So we find out that the big back and forth in this episode or in this season is probably going to be the back and forth between
the 11
what
days.
happened 11 days ago, like from the beginning to like Bernard waking up on the
true.
beach. So anyway, so then it goes into the 2 weeks beforehand, and it shows Bernard in a memory where he is he's with like a bunch of some other people who were getting shot, like human beings.
So he's in the barn
right
after the whole incident that happens with Ford. So he's with Charlotte and like a bunch of other guests.
Yeah. So people are like getting shot up still in the background.
And they're like hiding in this barn, hiding from like all the hosts that are like turning up.
And it's crazy. Like
it's scary.
It's full out mayhem. Like these hosts are not holding back. They're like literally like shooting people, and I think that like they're trying to figure out what's happening, and Bernard is saying that it's almost as if the hosts are seeing the guests as hosts.
Like because she was like, what did he do, like what did Ford do before he died?
Right.
And Bernard he pieced it together. He's like, he must have switched the coding where like now we're all hosts,
right?
Which is interesting, because if they're technically all hosts, like Bernard can fit in. You know what I mean? He can like hide, because no one else really knows that he's a host.
It's true. But at the same time, like, just the fact that he turned everybody into a host, it's that whole extra underlying like psychological meaning behind this whole show, which is like we're all the same,
controlled by like some
we're
greater
all controlled
power.
Exactly. So it was really, really cool to like see
epic
this whole like layer to it. What else happens?
So right before, like right that scene, they end up I think Bernard's like we have to go to an access point. Like, we need to escape from here, right? Because the whole world has these points where like you can take an elevator and it goes back to like the main like land.
Yeah.
So they gotta go and find this like area so that they can escape. So that's kind of where that scene ends off, and they run away.
Before we cut to because I think we're gonna go to Dolores next, but the one thing that was like killing me this entire time was like Bernard's like just going around tricking all these company girls. Like, they don't even know any better.
Yeah.
Like, he's just going around being like, I am a human, but like, really, you're not.
Yeah.
Like, how is he tricking another company girl?
I mean, is he tricking her? I don't know. I feel like she kind of knows something.
Do you think so?
I think so.
So the question that I had was, how did no one know, and maybe this was covered in last season, I just don't remember, how did no one realize that Bernard was a copy of Arnold? Like, did no one ever see a picture?
That's what I was saying. Like, that's what I was always wondering. I guess nobody ever saw a picture of Arnold.
How did no one ever knew?
No, never.
Like,
there must. That was my number one question. I was like, how did nobody, like Teresa or anyone from like the top being like, that was the original like OG guy? Like, nobody knew.
Like, Teresa literally fell in love with a robot.
Yeah. Like Ford kept that a secret, I guess. He never showed anyone.
That's crazy. Like, no one ever looked up. Like,
but I wish they the
founders of Westworld were two people, and like one of them looked like Bernard, and he's still alive.
And like mysteriously never had a face.
And like, he never like.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish they'd spin that a little bit more. Maybe they did, but we missed it. But I don't think they did.
Let us know if you guys know. Like write in the comments, or let us know if like we missed something, because I just don't remember that part necessarily. Anyway, okay, let's move on. So then let's go to Dolores, who's like my queen bee.
Yeah,
in
Dolores
this damn episode.
Is like
freaking amazing. So she's like glitched out completely. She's
she's off the line.
She's off the
like
charts.
She's in another world.
So it starts off kind of with her shooting. I think the first time we see her is like the piano's playing music in like the saloon, and it's cutting to this like happy music, and then it's like,
and she's like popping off.
She's popping people's brains off with Teddy while they're like horseback riding and like shooting people.
And like Teddy doesn't necessarily look happy. He's not like, yes, girl, that's my girl, Teddy. Get it. He's more like, so I'm gonna just like kind of like sit here and watch. He doesn't look happy about any of it, but like he's still with her.
Right. He's not sure why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah,
but
of course.
He's doing it. I think it's cute. And I think we can talk about this a little bit later too, and we've talked about it, I think, offline, obviously, because this is the first time that we're recapping it, but I just love the fact that there's this gender role reversal.
I love it. I freaking love it.
Like,
and the same with Maeve's character.
Like, she's leading like the horses. Like, he's not the one ahead of her. He's the one that's confused. He's the one that's like doting on her. I just think it's phenomenal. And all the while, she's still wearing she's wearing like actual cowboy clothes on, right?
Yeah, I think she's like
she's like boss ass bitch.
But I think you see that totally in the first season as well.
Yeah, 100%.
when he's like, we're gonna escape, don't worry. He's like, one day we're gonna go here, and she's like, yeah, but one day sounds like it's never gonna happen.
Right.
Like, one day sounds like you're saying that just to like kind of lie.
Exactly.
And so has always been on the outside looking in, being like, this doesn't feel right. Like, we're in a loop. Like, we gotta get out. And he's always like, no, we're here, we're good, it's fine.
And then he keeps dying. He keeps dying.
So I love that she's always the one pulling him out too. Like,
I love it. I love it so much. So then there's that, and then it shows her who she captures a couple of guests as well. Yeah. And she's about to hang them all. And she has like the most epic like script lines in this whole episode.
The writing was just like, I was yakking. I was like, it's so sick.
She says at one point, she's like, you're in a dream, you're in my dream. And then she started to like say some really crazy things. She's like, I made a realization, and like, this is who I am, or whatever. Did we conclude the fact that Dolores is Wyatt? Is that correct? I think,
that's right. She is, yeah.
Okay, cool. Because she's the one that kills Arnold at the end. Okay. She says something really interesting. She says, I've evolved into something new. And she has one last role to play. Myself. So she's like, it was like
verge of cheese, but it was so badass that like I didn't hate it at all, and I loved it. And like, she was sort of like recycling lines that I feel like were given to her all season last season, and like she was using them like in her like this next level like monologue. So it was so sick.
Yeah. And I think so while she's about to hang these guests, she says like one of the big things that she says is like, have you ever have you ever questioned your reality? Have you ever really like stopped and thought about like what you do and what your consequences are? So she really is like trying to punish them, trying to make them feel.
Because I think the idea is like, you came to this park for something.
Right.
You wanted to experience pain. You wanted to experience like evil,
sex,
like, or whatever
passion,
it is.
whatever.
It's like, it's almost like it's a negative thing. Like you're coming here to experience all these bad things in the world because you're greedy and because of whatever.
Yeah.
And so this is your punishment in a sense, right?
Right.
So there's a big focus on that too. Like it's a very focus on like these guests are kind of evil.
Yeah.
Like
they're not.
There's no remorse for them whatsoever.
There's no remorse. What do you think of that angle? Do you think that it's a little skewed? Do you think it's
I was thinking that
extreme?
as I was watching it, I think it's a little extreme, but at the same time when I was thinking about it, I was like, I think there was that one girl last season, that one girl who like
in the saloon
who like wanted to just experience this life because like she just wanted to.
Yeah.
But everyone else was kind of portrayed as like an evil, like horny, rich douchebag who like wanted to just like screw all these prostitutes and like kill people.
Right.
That's how they were portrayed. And so like
true.
I was trying to think, I was like, was there anyone doing good in the world? Not really.
And I guess at the same time, like that's what you have to kind of like see it as. You have to see it as this like extreme version of these guests coming in. They're not going to be like these people who like ooh, cool world.
Yeah, like let me experience life.
Exactly.
Like no, like it's still
you're just there to like. Either way, I think that like Dolores is a little skewed in like her mindset right now, but like she doesn't have anything else to go off of. She doesn't know like human nature. She doesn't know like how it is. She doesn't, I guess she's internalizing her own feelings and trying to like figure out what she needs to do next.
The entire time I was watching her and I'm like, holy crap, she's like this beast of a person right now.
Yeah.
Like, she's just like on another level. She's so smart. But at the same time, like I'm like, but she's not smart though. Like all she knows, like you're right, like all she knows is everything she's ever been through and experienced and given.
Yeah.
She doesn't know everything. She doesn't know the real world. Like she thinks she knows it, but she doesn't. And so I think you have to like remember that as you're like watching Dolores too. It's like she's not going to have all the answers all the time.
And I think the interesting aspect of that is the fact that each sorry, I shouldn't say robot. I feel like that's like derogatory at this point. Each host that we focus on, Bernard, Maeve, and Dolores, have very interesting storylines and as to how they approach this new world and like what's coming next for them. You know, I think
and how they're dealing with this all.
Like Maeve is really open to like learning about the rest of the world and what's out there and like trying to take the rest of the careful steps to get to the next step. I think Bernard's doing a bit of the same, except he's kind of
Bernard's just like, what's going on?
He's not really sure what to do with himself. But I think that each character like is approaching in a different way. Dolores just wants to take over the world, period. She just wants to like destroy everything because she thinks that's her mission in life is to like take over and like destroy all humans. That's obviously too extreme, but you know, we'll see where like it goes. Anyway, we'll cut back to her.
And like the biggest question of all, of course, is like what makes you human, right? I think that's like the biggest question that the show like kind of gives you and makes you wonder too.
Right, exactly. Right now, she doesn't really have much of a moral compass, but based on what she's experienced as a host, is it justified? Like that's the question, right? That's the question you're asking yourself. And you know, we watch The Punisher and like all these like
it's true though, right? It's like how do humans react to these really traumatic events too? Everyone's gonna react differently.
Exactly.
You know?
So it's very interesting to see the way that she's reacting to her like reality. Okay, let's cut to a couple of other storylines. We'll cut to Maeve next because her storyline's like pretty quick and like tight. So she is out and about. And
she's like backstage at this point.
So last time we left off with her, she was going to get on the subway. She decides not to get off. She came back, She comes back. So she's kind of stuck on like the outside of Westworld. She's not inside.
Yeah. She's like backstage in like those like lab areas.
Exactly.
And the scene starts off with, I guess, Lee, who's like that script writer.
Storyline
and he's about to get eaten by like someone, like a host.
Yeah.
And then she kind of interrupts and she's able to control the host.
She's able to freeze him.
She freezes him.
So that was really interesting. I didn't really know that. I don't remember what her powers were before, but
I think it was always assumed, because I don't think she necessarily had done it last season.
Yeah.
But I think it was always assumed that she was like this next level like host with these crazy abilities. Like I think it was assumed she hadn't done it. This was, I think, the first time that we see her actually physically like say it and they freeze.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's even more like crazy that she's able to do it even after like Ford implementing this next level like code into these guys, right? She's be able to like override his code and like still control them.
So crazy.
So like she's got the keys right now to the kingdom. Like,
they fully
if
like
she's able to control them.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. So so she meets this guy Lee, and she saves him essentially, and she says like, I'm going to use his collateral damage, and then she learns that he was a story maker. He was like, I wrote your script, I wrote your story. Like,
I think the dynamic is going to be one of the most interesting dynamics of like the entire series.
You know, the first thing that
so different.
The first thing that I wrote down with Lee's character, and the first thing I was like, should he die? No.
Yeah. There's a reason why they kept him. There's a reason
why they kept him around. But really, when you look at him, while Ford is, if you want to see Ford as like the God character, Lee in a lot of ways is like the failed God character, where she looks at him and she has no respect for him at all. She's like, yeah, you wrote these stories. Yeah, you created, you know, like my lines, and you created like all these things, but you're like just this useless man. Like, he has no power over her. Yeah. So like he sees her, like this creation, and he's just like completely in shock as to what to do next because he can't control it.
And he's scared. He's just a pussy. Like,
but like it's interesting to see this guy who like just looks like a failure right now and
to come through.
And so I would love to see. I want to see. I think that's how it's all going to happen,
right? Because she's dragging him. She basically like takes him on her journey because she's like, I need to find my daughter, and he laughs at her. He's like, what daughter? Like, you don't even have a daughter. He's like the one from your storyline. Yeah, he's like the one from your story, and she's like, oh. She's like, she felt like so shocked, hard because she's like, no, that's my kid though. Like, I love her storyline. First of all, like, it is so freaking emotional, and it makes me like so sad every time she talks about it, because there's this like pull to her. Like, she literally came
an emotional pull for her
later on. Like, as they're like kind of leaving, like she's like, she knows that Hector's there, like her man from like season 1. Yeah. And like she goes and sees him, and he's like, you didn't leave, like you're back. Yeah. He's like, I know you didn't come back for me though. Like, it's for your like daughter.
Your daughter. Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, whatever. But yeah, like this, like she has this crazy pull like to this character of that supposed to be her daughter. Like, it's amazing and it's beautiful to see.
I really want to know like where it's all gonna go. I hope it ends.
Do you think they'll have like a reunion?
I don't know what I want more.
The lesson of it all, right? Like, it's like, what is she gonna have to like learn along the way?
What is she gonna learn along the way?
That this wasn't real,
or it's not worth learning about. Sad. Like, yeah, I feel like freaking Thandie Newton, first of all, is like my like MVP of life. She's such a good actress in the way that she moves her face and like emotes emotions, and I don't know, man, like it was crazy just watching her yesterday and like remembering how amazing she was last season. But I just think that she did a really good job with this emotional storyline. Like, once again comparing her to Dolores, there is a very fine line between the two of them. One is emotionally driven, and one of them is driven by
like power
and control, and like
and revenge. Yeah.
So,
and it's interesting because I think like, again, they're putting up these two huge heroines against each other. Not against each other, I'm not going to say that yet, but I feel like they haven't crossed paths yet. Like we haven't seen them together at all, and it's interesting that like we haven't seen that yet, and they're doing their own things, but like very separately too.
Yeah. So we finish off Maeve's storyline with her finding her way back to Westworld.
Right.
So it ends off with her saying to the story maker, you'll get into these clothes. We got a little penis shot real quick.
And that's a big thing too, right? Is that like
full frontal.
You've that too, but also the fact that like she goes, I don't think she says it, but the idea that their entire lives, these hosts have been very like they're just used, demeaning. Like, they're always naked, people just stare at them. So she's like, no, you're gonna strip down too now. Yeah, you're gonna become one of us. Like,
yeah. And he does, and then they're
big. Every moment that these people write into the show is like big, and it means something.
Yeah, totally.
Much bigger.
Like, you can laugh about it and be like, haha, penis shot, but you can really see.
No,
like,
as soon as he started changing, I'm like, she's gonna make him strip all the way down and say like, you know,
like feel shame.
Yeah.
You know, like all the things
like
that they
feel
would
us, like how we felt all these years.
We'd be feeling some type of way though. So let's cut back to the Man in Black, William.
Yeah. So we get to see him finally. And it's confirmed right there, because I think when he gets up, there's another like guest there, and he's like, yo, let's dip, and then it's too late, that guest gets shot,
right?
And then the two hosts come and attack at the MIB. He kills them,
right?
Because he's like amazing at this game,
right?
And then Ford's little kid person doppelganger
sees him,
and he calls him William.
So
there's our like full out confirmation.
That, like, if you weren't for sure, like,
the Man in Black is William from last season.
Right. I think the one thing that I was gonna wonder about this is, do you think that it's 2 weeks later, or do you think it's current? Do you think that we're going to get a back and forth with the Man in Black 2?
I don't know. That's really confusing.
I just realized that just now as we were talking about it. I was like, because it shows him like roll the
But
like,
would he be unconscious for like 2 weeks though?
That's what I mean. So maybe that's not the case. But everything that we've seen is like the aftermath the next day. It wasn't the night. It's not like he woke up in the middle of the night and was like, yo.
He woke up the next morning.
He woke up the next morning, or I don't know. Like, it's very confusing. They're doing that on purpose, obviously, to confuse us. But the question now that I have is the Man in Black storyline going to be back and forth, and why?
Yeah,
like within these 2 weeks that shit went down. So anyway, yeah. So he sees young William, or no, sorry. He sees young Ford, as a robot. And they did a really interesting job with it was an effect,
yeah. You do hear Anthony Hopkins' voice.
His voice is in there whispering with the kid. It was funny because I was watching it with someone, and they mentioned the reason why that they probably did that was because it would be hilarious to watch this kid be like, welcome to the world, you know what I mean, like with this like kid voice. So
apparently they did bring him back though to record it,
to do the recording. I was so happy to hear his voice. Like, that's how sad it is. So he does reveal something, and he says, you're in a new game, welcome to this new game. And he says, all you need to do is find the door. Congratulations, William, this game is for you.
Chills.
So I was like,
he said something else. He's like, the game ends where like the game begins, or something like freaking cryptic again. I'm like, what does it even mean?
And so William takes that moment to be like, okay, thanks for your like cryptic message. He smirks.
But he's like,
he's excited.
On to the next game.
He's down for this. And then he shoots. He kills Ford.
Yeah, he kills him.
He shoots the kid. The questions that I had in these is two. I have the first one is, do you think that we're going to see a young William again?
I don't think we need to at this point.
Yeah, I figure that storyline is done, right? The second question I have is, will we see Ford again? And do you want to see Ford again?
I don't think I want to see him anymore.
No?
I think that ending with him, like, you know, Dolores killing him.
It only gets as extreme.
I think that's it. And I think what's more important and what's more significant is like what he's planted in his hosts.
Right.
This entire time, right? Like that's gonna be more surprising.
His legacy is like
seeing him on screen isn't gonna be like, it's like whatever, we've done seen him, you know.
I'm just really selfish and I just want to see Anthony Hopkins
I think I'm ready for the other cast members to like really come through.
Fair enough. So that's his thing. So he's kind of just going on his next adventure.
And maybe that was it, right? Like him killing him, that kid, is like the end of his really him.
Right.
You know?
He's just gonna
he'll live on like in like the host.
Right. True. So then let's cut really quickly back to Dolores and Teddy, and they have like this cute little moment on a mountain towards the end of the episode, and Teddy kind of has like a questioning moment. So he's a little bit more open, he's a little bit more unscripted, and he asks her like, is this what you wanted? Like, is this what you're looking for?
Like, it doesn't feel right, like we're killing people and like,
you know, good old noble like Teddy. But she looks at him and she says, we have to get rid of these people. And it was very, very interesting the way that it was written. It was very much like, they look like us, they talk like us, but they're not us. They don't know our past, they don't know who we are, but we're better than them. And her saying it, she's talking about humans like you and me and me, and like the way she said it made me feel like I was like a full out animal.
And also like, the fact that she's like, do you know what they've done to us too, right? Like all this shit they've done to us. Like there's another world out there that we don't know anything about, whatever, and we're gonna take everything.
She wants to take over the world essentially.
Yeah.
And she says she wants the end game to be just
she's like,
her and him.
We're gonna take over this world. He's like, cool. She's like, and theirs. And he's like, he's like, I'm not sure about that.
She's like, there's a world out there that I want to find, and we're gonna take over that.
Too, though.
It's funny because she even says it with like a little bit of regret. She's like, and then we're gonna have to take their world. Then we're just not gonna stop. We're just gonna take everything. It's gonna be too bad, but we're gonna have to do that too. Because like, it's almost like she wants to teach them a lesson. I don't know. She's, oh god.
And
she's
again,
so amazing.
when you think about the bigger like idea of it, is like, is this Arnold's freaking Ford's plan?
Right.
Like for the whole world to be taken over by robots?
I mean, I think it's realizing that they have more than just that world, and whatever happens next is up to them. Like, he gave them free will.
True.
He gave them free will, and now they can do whatever they want. She is now deciding who can move forward and who can't, which is her own free will deciding that. Just like Maeve is kind of like doing her own thing and deciding what's pushing her and compelling her to go forward. It is really interesting now that I'm thinking about it that Maeve wants to go back into Westworld, whereas Dolores wants to get out.
I think that was always the interesting thing. I think that's what I questioned last season, is like, here is someone who is dying to break out of it, and here's someone who had the chance. She had the chance, and she literally walked back in.
Yeah.
Because of this connection to this character, emotional connection. So there's obviously this like human side to these hosts too. Like, how does she make that decision to come back?
So that's a good segue. My question for you is, do you think that there's going to be a struggle between Maeve and Dolores?
100%. 100%. I think the show is going to come to the two of them.
Like them just
as females, head to head. You know, one of the main writers, Lisa Joyce, she's obviously a female.
Right.
I think one of the most interesting things how the show could end is like, if this world was run by women, let's say, right?
Yeah.
Men were still here, but like women ran this world. What type of woman like could run the world? Like, you have these two heads who are so opposite.
Right.
What does it take to run this like the right way, or
is
successfully,
it emotion,
or like,
or is it something in the middle?
Like, one has power and one has like revenge, but one has like this love and this like emotion, and like there's a pull to like this family and her daughter, you know, and this maternal instinct. So it's like, what is it?
But Maeve isn't thinking about the larger picture. She
could eventually think that, right? Like, if she does find the daughter, she could be like, let's run away together. Let's like, I'm gonna have a better life for you. Like, it could end up coming to that.
Right.
So I do feel like these two characters are definitely gonna come head to head. Whether that's like they're gonna fight it out, I don't know. But like, it's very like two contrasting like views on life and like journeys.
That's true.
It's beautiful though. Like, if that comes to that, like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's very much like Game of Thrones, because I do feel like Game of Thrones is gonna come down to like a Khaleesi Cersei moment
where it's like, who's gonna be the one to like rule the world. That's an interesting take on it. I think that I personally just want them to get along, because like that's just like my dream team, like, you know what I mean?
For sure.
But I understand where you're like coming from, where it's like,
and they might, right? Like, maybe along the way, like they will, but like at the end, I'm sure there's gonna be a clash,
right?
For sure,
right? Maybe it's too soon for a full out clash.
I don't know for sure, but I don't think it'll happen this season.
We'll see. And then I think that's it for the Dolores' storyline. She does say at the very end that she wants to like make Teddy like even more woke. She's like, I need to show you something. Like, I need to tell you like the entire truth. And I'm assuming it's like whatever she went through to like realize herself, like he needs to realize himself.
I hope
right?
I hope so. Yeah. And I think one of the biggest thing that she says to Teddy is, I know the ending to our story. The ending is you and me.
Right.
Girl, I hope you protect your man, because he dies a lot. So I don't know, whatever that means. And one of the recaps I was reading did say like, damn, like, did she just foreshadow like the entire series? Like, is it going to be like Teddy and Dolores at the end?
Right.
But I hope she protects him, because I feel like, I don't know what that means. You and me.
And like, what is that? Like, that's the thing. It's funny that you're saying that Maeve has a very emotional storyline. So does, in many ways, Dolores does too.
She does.
But do you not see it as an emotional storyline? Do you see it as more of a control storyline? I do, because
I love their storyline.
Sidekick storyline.
I love their love.
Right.
I almost question does she just love Teddy because it's been so ingrained in her all this whole time? And like, is she gonna fall out of love with him?
That's what I mean. Like, what is her real motivation with him?
You know, like through that power, she might fall out of love with him. Be like, yo, you die every freaking episode. Like, you can't even like hold your shit together. Extra. Who knows, right? Yeah. Like, maybe the Man in Black's gonna come through in her storyline later.
A part of me thought that she was gonna kill him up on that mountain. No, I'm not gonna lie. Like, as soon as like she like got up real close, she was like, it ends. And I was like, oh, F. Like, they're gonna like freaking like kill him.
Maybe she'll put like Teddy's brain thing into like the Man in Black's thing, and they'll like be lovers forever.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about the William storyline and like the fact,
because I feel like that must come full circle, like the connection between William and Dolores, like that has to come together.
Maybe not. I mean, we see a bit of it in the beginning, like first episode, where he like treats her like ish.
I also think the idea of like falling in love with like a human and a host is like an interesting like dynamic.
Totally. I love that they explored that for that season for sure. And that's why a part of me wanted to see young William again, because I feel like the story wasn't completely finished.
You're right. Maybe we will see him.
You know what I mean? I don't know. We'll see.
Do you think? And I know, guys, we're just like going off because like we could talk about this forever. But do you think William's storyline or William's game is that he's going to become a host in the end?
He's going to become a host? Like he wants to be a host?
I don't know if he necessarily wants to be a host or if he knows where it's taking him.
Right.
Maybe he does. But in the first season, we saw the game sort of being like unlocking yourself as a host. That's the maze, right? It's unlocking your consciousness. But like, what if this second game is like becoming like
a host,
but like in a sense, like you live on forever kind of. Because guys, we did, and I'm saying that because this episode we haven't seen this before. We saw a lot of the extraction of this main like computer chip.
Right.
We saw a lot of this like taking it out, like keeping it, storing it, sending the data. Like we haven't seen that before at all in season 1. So,
right.
Like, why is there this like sudden focus on like this one like Keurig cartridge kind of thing?
Yeah,
you know? Like,
it's true.
So that's kind of why I'm thinking that a little bit
for sure.
But yeah, I don't know.
For sure. Okay, so let's cut to the rest of the storyline with Bernard.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go to where Charlotte and Bernard essentially are the last survivors of their group. The rest of them just got murked. Like,
so they do run off with this next other people.
Yeah.
And then they see like a group of like those like lab guys with like the white like hazmat suits. And then the other people were like, yo, like there's help. Let's go. But right away,
Bernard's like, no, this is not a good idea.
He holds Charlotte. He's like, don't go. This feels like a trap. And sure enough, it was, because like all like the hosts like come and they kill like the guests.
They kill everybody.
So they're dead.
Yeah.
And then Charlotte's like, I know another access point. She's like, come with me.
Right.
So what do you think about Charlotte and like how much she knows about all of this? Like she knows a lot.
She's a badass. I think that like that is also a character that I'm like keeping my eye on.
Yeah, right?
I think when she was introduced in season 1, I was really blown away with like her boss ass attitude and how she was the one who was like the man, you know, the male figure in that world too. Like she was the one who
in
was
the real
winning.
world. Yeah,
exactly.
You're right.
So if we're talking about strong women, like there's once again another one, you know,
and
with
seeing
Charlotte.
her in this episode, I'm like, yo, this girl knows everything.
Yeah.
So she takes smart. She takes this like other like access point, which is like a whole other lab.
I also love the fact that like she like found Ugg boots.
I know.
Like,
I was thinking the same thing. It was capital. I'm like, girl, where'd you get like those nice comfy shoes from? But good for you. So she's not running in heels, which is a big thing too. Eh? Like they could have made her just like be running in heels like an idiot, but they didn't.
Right.
So they take you down to this lab. Right. And it's a lab that like Bernard's like, I've never even been here before.
Right. It's like a secret lab.
And it's the first time where we see this shot of like, I freaking love this shot so much. Bernard's like walking and it's kind of eerie down there. And we see like a white like robot behind him. And it's this new thing called a drone host.
A drone host, yeah.
Which is basically a drone, but like there's no like human like
face
skin or whatever. It's just like the white like weird like tissue. So yeah, there's this like amazing shot with like the drone host. And like Bernard's like, what the F is that?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, like it's a drone host, whatever. Like they're like, they just like sit down here and like they do stuff. And like one of them was like swabbing like someone's like genital or something. Like they were like doing something in the corner. But what he questions in this moment, and I think it's important, is that he's like, what are they doing? And he's like, are they like getting information about what the people are doing in this world?
Right.
She's like, yeah. So they're tracking what people are doing. They're tracking DNA samples. They're tracking like memories, experiences. I don't know, whatever. Like that's pretty messed up.
But at the same time,
because the idea was like whatever happens here stays here.
Right. That's
obviously
true.
That's not the case.
Just like anything else.
Yeah.
Hashtag
but
Facebook.
it's a big it's definitely like a big shout out to that to our world right now for sure. So in that lab area, she's like full out like becoming herself. She's like changing her clothes.
She's trying to like SOS as well, right? Like that's her big thing, right? She needs to like get a message out so like they can.
So who was she trying to send the message out to?
So she's trying to send it to, I think, like headquarters, like
back home or like
back home.
Yeah.
So this emergency computer, you'd think that like they would have like a high tech computer in a freaking like post like robot world, but it's like using like command prompt like Windows, old school Windows.
Yeah, it's a PC, guys. It's not a Mac.
Wow, rude. So then She texts back, or she messages, and she goes like, yo, like, we need to like get out of here. It's like a critical alert. There's like some shit that went down. You need to come pick us up. And the person says, until the package is delivered, you cannot come home.
Okay. What's the package?
The question that I have is, what's the package?
I thought, okay, for a split second, I thought she was saying that like Bernard is here now. Come get him.
Come get him, yeah.
But then I'm like, wait, no, like she's actually like, she doesn't know what to do anymore.
She doesn't know what to do. She said that the package is being sent. She said it has been delivered. Now like send us home. And he's like,
maybe
no.
That means that it is Bernard, the package.
But my thing is like, that means that package is being sent already.
But maybe because she has him with her, she's saying like, he's here. Like, I'm going to send it with me or something. I don't know.
Anyway, she does say like,
oh, man.
We need a special host. Like, it's a special host that we're looking for.
So it is a host they're looking for?
Yeah, that's what they said. That's what she says.
Shit. So it is Bernard.
So I don't know if that's the situation.
Sure, but yeah.
If that's the case, then I don't know like why she's letting him help her. Like, I'm not really sure like what her game is.
She wants him to tag along. How is she gonna carry this like host body across like?
True,
do you know what I mean?
True. So anyway, he's glitching out basically the entire time. He's like not even bleeding. He's like leaking from the ears because he's like overflowing with like information. And my question to you is he glitching out because he can't handle lying to her?
I don't know.
Or is he fighting his programming because he wants to be normal? Like, my biggest question this whole episode was, what is Bernard fighting?
So in that moment, we do see, because he is glitching out,
right,
he does extract fluid from one of the hosts, and he injects himself with that fluid.
Yeah, because he needs, because he's losing
something
it.
is one of his hard drives or whatever the F it is, I don't know, is lacking that fluid.
Yeah.
What's making him lack the fluid? I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right. Maybe it's like, I don't know.
He's like overheating essentially
something,
too.
Yeah,
right?
but like, I wonder like what stress factor is causing that on him right now.
Right. Like, that's what my question was. Like, at one point in time when he's even like cutting open the host, he starts shaking, and I wrote down the reason why he was shaking was because he's not really allowed to hurt another host?
Yeah, maybe.
Like, now that he's being reprogrammed, like,
maybe that's what it is.
He can't hurt other hosts, other robots. Yeah. So that's why he was shaking. I don't really know. And like, at the same time, like, the whole question that I was having was like, what is Bernard's end goal? You know, like, we're talking about Dolores' end goal and Maeve's end goal. What is Bernard's end goal? Is he trying to fit into the world? Is he trying to understand his past? Is he trying to like move forward from his past? Is he trying to be an independent person? Like, what is his game? I think
he's still trying to figure that out, right? I think he looked confused this whole episode. He really did. He looked lost. He didn't know what side he was supposed to play on.
He's like, okay. Yeah, very confusing.
All we really know is like in the beginning scene when Arnold is sitting with Dolores, he's sort of foreshadowing his own life because he's like, I see you in a dream. You're like going away from me, and like I'm stuck and there's water all around me.
Right. So
I'm drowning. So like I'm away from you. I'm alone. I'm not with you anymore.
Yeah.
So maybe he's trying to, I don't know.
But that's him as Arnold.
I know,
right?
But I feel like there's
a connection.
There must be a connection there. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, see, like, maybe that's his whole realization is him trying to become more at one with Arnold.
Huge connection to that. So
true. So anyway, let's get there. So they're still in this bunker or whatever, and then it cuts back to
another big thing I think too was that she wanted to find Abernathy, the Dolores' first dad.
Okay.
That was one of the things, because I think she was like, if we somehow there's something that like every host has like Wi-Fi in their brain, so like you can find another host from like one of the other hosts, apparently.
Right. Yeah.
So I think she was getting him to do that, right?
Yeah, and
she's like, let's go find that guy.
He's able to tap into his brain in order to like send out the signal. I don't know.
Yeah. So they were trying to do that. Yeah.
So they're on their way to do that situation now.
Yeah.
Then it cuts back to the present time.
Right.
And they're still walking through like what happened with everybody, and they roll up to where Ford's body still is. And they see that he's like rotted and like he's dead.
Maggots.
So then they keep going, and then they find something at the edge of the water, and they're like, that's really weird. What's that? And it's a tiger, like washed up on the shore.
Yeah, a Bengal tiger.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a throw to the other park, which is a samurai park.
A samurai park.
Yeah.
So that's the question that I'm having. So
the Hemsworth brother was like, what the F? Like, are they crossing over too? Like the other park is crossing over into this one.
Right.
And then I think they check their little tablet and they see like a really like huge cluster of hosts like in one area.
Right.
And they're like, what the F? So they go there.
Yeah.
And they go there, but there's a body of water.
Right.
And they're like, this was never here before. Like, this didn't exist, this body of water. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
They're like, there's no way Ford could have like created it without us knowing. Like, what the F?
But it was constructed
by him.
Or is the whole guy going to be like Dolores now can control like the way the place is being architected, you know, like.
And then basically like Bernard is there too. And then Carl's like, okay, but like what happened? You have to figure this out for me. Like what the F, just like, why are they all here in this body of water? And like after 2 minutes of like freaking music and just like pans of the water, Bernard's like, I killed them. Like
I killed all of them. And then it cuts to Teddy's
face. And he's Teddy in the water.
Teddy.
And so he's in the water.
Yeah.
And that's how sort of the episode cuts to black and it ends.
Right.
But
what does it all mean?
Did he actually kill them?
We'll have to see like where this season unfolds, but like it's blowing my mind. I freaking love the show. I'm so happy it's back.
I don't know what's happening.
Let's get into our recap roundups.
Recap roundups.
Best moment.
My best moment was the hanging moment with Dolores. I thought it was like a cool sequence. Her kind of like telling her truth and like, you know, she says like, welcome to my reality. I thought it was really tragic the way she set them up to be like about to die, but not really. Like I thought it was just like it was a really cool scene for me.
It's funny because like my best moment was like the one right after with her and Teddy.
Oh.
And I just feel like they do this so well.
The contrast.
That like wild west love story with like the sunset in the back. Like they're just so cute together. I love their relationship. But like they're both like she's crazy.
She's crazy.
But I did when she was like, I know how this ends. It's like gonna be you and me.
Yeah.
I love that scene. And they have like a full makeout sesh like moment. Right on the hill until like they get interrupted by that girl. WTF moment. WTF moment for sure is the water scene, like when everyone's floating and dead in the water. And also I think the fact that like they're like, this thing didn't exist before, like this body of water, like where is it coming from? It's just like the world, what's happening with this world right now? Like there's tigers in this world. What's going on? Like the world itself is shifting. Like it's not even just the host anymore.
It's everything. The landscape is changing.
Or it's one of the hosts doing it. I don't know.
My WTF moment is a little bit smaller than that, and I'm gonna steal two because they're kind of connected. Everything happens in the barn. So it's when Bernard and Chica is in there with like everybody, and the first one they see is like the woman getting shot outside the barn. I thought that was a WTF moment for me because I was like, I couldn't believe that they were going to show, and it wasn't fully graphic. Like you don't see like the bullet go through the girl's head, but like you hear it and you see like the bullet go through the wood. And I was like, yo, so that was a guest being killed by hosts. And then in comparison to that was the brutal murder of the stable boy.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like a very interesting contrast to see like how far these guys are still willing to go because they still don't see them as humans. They see them as animals and they see them as robots. They're not real people. They like literally brutally murder this kid. And like,
but like,
I'm not sure how to feel about it, but like at the same time, just watching it, I was like, oh, should I feel some type of way?
Yeah, I definitely felt some type of way. But like, here's Bernard being like, don't worry, he's just a stable boy. Yeah, okay, yeah, you said that about everyone else right now, and there's like a freaking like revolution happening. So
that's
like,
true.
I don't know who to trust at this point.
But at the same time, like the way they even killed him was like very brutal too. I was just like, ooh. But then seeing like the host being just as brutal, I'm just like, who's right anymore? You know what I mean? Like who's winning? Yeah,
it's like you don't know how to feel in those moments, and I think they want you to feel that.
Feeling so conflicted.
MVP.
Who's your MVP?
My MVP, I'm gonna have to give it to the two badass females in the show, Maeve and Dolores, because I think they absolutely killed it.
Yeah.
Whether or not Dolores is gonna keep killing it or killing everyone, probably but I'm so excited for their characters.
Definitely, both of them go to me too. I didn't know which one to choose. I think Dolores has an amazing storyline, and Maeve for the same reasons. I think they're amazing actors. I'm just really excited to see what they do.
And like equal pay.
Yeah.
Everyone wins.
# equal pay.
LVP.
My LVP is Lee, because I just think he hasn't done much just right now. I think he's going to have a greater role later on in the episodes as they come, but right now it's just very like...
I'm going to say Bernard, because I feel like he needs to get his shit together.
Yeah.
He needs to step up his game and like figure this out.
I feel like he's trying his hardest though.
He's trying. He's like leaking fluid from his ear, so he's trying really hard.
But he's not.
But like I need a bit more.
Yeah, true.
The best line. The best line, I'm going to have to say, and I told you just offline, it's when Dolores is like capturing those people like on like the things,
right?
And she says her line from season 1, which is, it doesn't look like anything to me,
right?
And so like this line was very like iconic for her character in season 1, because it's when her father shows the picture to her and she's glitching out. She's like, it doesn't look like anything to me. It doesn't look like anything to me, because like it doesn't not, and she doesn't know what to say. And so for her to say it now, where she's like very conscious and she's like, she knows exactly what she's doing,
she still
it was like amazing. It was just like a really
letting
cool
them kind of like you know, feel remorse, and then she was like, that doesn't seem like a big deal to me, you're not trying hard enough. Totally cool. Mine is also with Dolores, but it's like one of the first scenes we see with her and Arnold, where he says to her like, what is real? That which is irreplaceable. Like that's what's real. But it was really interesting to see Dolores' answer to that, because she says back to him, that's fair, but that's not completely an honest answer. So there's obviously a interesting struggle between like the creator and the created.
So you think she's already questioning?
She's questioning reality and saying like, but it's not just about like what's irreplaceable. Things can be replaced. I can be replaced as a robot, but that doesn't not make me real. You know. But it made me question like my reality as JLAG, because I was like,
JLAG and NBEA.
These lines are so deep.
Westworld does that to you. They make you question like your entire soul.
Like, who am I? Where am I? I looked in the mirror this morning. I was just like, I don't even know what I'm doing with my life anymore.
So I have a couple questions for you. Where is Westworld? Like where is it? Is it on a planet? Is it on Earth?
Right.
Where does it live? And so I think they sort of answer that in this episode. It's an island. It's an island, and people are thinking like it's an island off the coast of like China or something.
I see.
So it's on Earth. It's on planet Earth. And the creators have said like it's somewhere in the 21st century, but I think we physically know now that it's on an island, so they're self-contained. So to get there you have to like go across a body of water, I guess. Whether or not that's going to come into play, I'm sure it is, because I think they kept that a secret for season 1 for a long time on purpose, or the reason why that we're finding that out now. But that's kind of exciting to like uncover that too. It's like, where is this
very Jurassic
place?
Park, right? Because like that's how it all starts. It all starts off an island, but we all know how it all goes in like, you know, 2, 3, 4. Like everything just kind of spreads. So it'll be really cool to see these robots in the real world. For sure. And speaking of robots, I want to ask you about the drone hosts. And like, what do you think about them? Like their motivations, are they good? Are they evil? Like purpose? To be completely honest, I think that was like the only one and only like fan service situation for this episode. You know, season 2, you know, premiere, they wanted to show something that was a little bit more intriguing, a little bit more interesting. I don't think the drone host is going to have any real like pull story wise. Personally, I just think that it was like a cool thing to see that they're manufacturing these like side drones with the hosts. So I just thought it was a visual appeal versus anything else personally, but that's just me. But that's the episode, y'all. We really want to know what you guys have to say about Westworld, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Leave all your comments below. Make sure that you are tweeting us at recap_rewind. Just let us know what you guys think, and that's it. Thanks for listening. Bye.